right. Greetings, citizens of the earth. Now, in this video, I'm talking about, does cannabis block spiritual growth? Does it hinder spiritual growth? Before I go any further, I need to make a disclaimer that this video or this channel or I do not promote the use or any association with cannabis in any regard, and this video is for educational purpose. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. Yeah, yeah. Cool. So, two things I need to mention some things before I get into this. This video is going to be broken down into the use of cannabis before spiritual awakening, during spiritual awakening, and after spiritual awakening. But before I get into those three sort of stages and how cannabis can have an influence on you and how you can work with cannabis on every single step of those three stages, I am going to talk about the fact why this video is kind of complicated to make and some things you need to be aware of before watching this video. Now, spiritual growth, spirituality, it's a very individual thing. There's no fixed rules, there's no right or wrong in spirituality, there's no kind of like, you can't compare yourself to others because I'm a unique individual, you're a unique individual. There'll never be anyone like me, there'll never be anyone like you. So what does that mean? That means that we are all on a unique journey, and that doesn't give anyone the right to say this is right, this is wrong. It's just I can speak from my experience, and you can use the information which I give you however you like. If it gives you some benefit on your journey, then yeah, you can use this information. So, right, everybody is going to be affected differently. Now, cannabis as well affects everybody differently. It affects the endocannabinoid system, which is kind of like the natural high which our body produces. But some people have amazing experiences with it, some people have horrible experiences with it. I can speak for my personal experience. Now, cannabis before your spiritual awakening. I I truly believe that I would not have come as far as I have without the use of cannabis on my journey. I truly believe that when you first start using cannabis recreationally, and obviously there's different variations, there's indica, sativa, edible, oil. I'm talking, most people just smoke whatever it is that their plug got, right? So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. But before your awakening, it definitely opens up your third eye. It definitely opens up your mind to certain ideas which you've never had before. It opens your mind to sort of the realities of the world which you've never been able to experience prior to the use of cannabis. Cannabis is definitely known to um, expand consciousness and to it kind of creates an over exaggerated feeling of everything. As you know, food tastes better, colors appear brighter, every sensual thing you can experience feels better. Or worse, a horror movie is going to be much scarier when you're high. A pizza is going to be much yummier. Sex is going to feel much more intense. Um, Consuming other drugs while under the influence of cannabis is going to feel much more intense. But what it does at the first stage is it definitely opens up your third eye. It definitely allows you to see beyond the matrix, beyond what your mind has experienced before. It kind of opens the portal towards different frequencies, right? The thing with cannabis is that nowadays it's not the same as it used to be. It's not the same. It's grown in a lab. Some dealers spray it with some weird chemicals to make it so much more potent. There's a way more THC than CBD. It's not balanced. It's not even natural anymore. So it's not the same product we're even dealing with as people used to deal with, like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? But it allows you to think, right, as I said, beyond the limitations under which your mind was before. It definitely opens up creativity. I have never written down more sort of ideas in my notes app than I did the first like 1 or 2 years when I started smoking cannabis, right? It makes you feel like more in touch with yourself. It makes you more sensitive towards your perception. It makes you more sensitive to your surroundings, which means that you get a different feel of the people around you. You kind of engage with the world in a different way. You just see the world through a different lens. And that's something that can help you wake up to a lot of realities of the world. It can have an influence on a lot of things, on your behavior, on your interests. It can unlock certain interests, it can unlock certain passions, it can unlock a desire to change your lifestyle in whatever way. So at the start, it definitely has benefits to it. Obviously, if it gets abused, if it gets overdone, you will not get the same benefits, right? I feel like with cannabis, the less you consume, like the smaller the dose, the more you get out of it, kind of. You need to find the perfect dose for your kind of creative potential to open. It definitely opens up your creativity, all that kind of stuff. Now, during your awakening, it's whether you decide to use it or not, what ends up happening is that you wake up to a lot more things about the world. You wake up to you unlock certain powers. I don't know, maybe you have psychic powers, maybe you have intuitive powers, which you've never had access to. And during your spiritual awakening, you just wake up to a lot of things which you never had access to. That's at least my experience. I truly got to feel the power which my body and my mind is capable of, which I've never been able to access before, right? And all that in a sober state, right? But what cannabis did for me, how cannabis worked for me during my awakening, right? As you wake up to a lot of things, as your vibration increases, as you start learning about, spirituality and kind of like the laws of the universe, mm, you know, you working with frequencies of the body, working with chakra systems of the body, you are, after a certain point during your awakening, able to implement your knowledge towards physical reality. And that's when there's a lot of growth. That's when you genuinely start to raise your own vibration. And what happens is that, for me at least, during certain periods, I felt like uncomfortable. The powers you get, the vibration gets raised so high, it becomes uncomfortable. There are periods where you genuinely feel like you're going insane, where you're losing your mind, where you're out of touch with, reality, out of touch with, planet Earth, and you're just not grounded. You're not grounded in reality. And when you're overly excited, when you're just overly when you're too high up, when your frequency is just too high on your spiritual journey, what ends up happening is that it can feel scary, it can feel uncomfortable, because you're exploring certain highs which you've never felt before. You're reaching new highs, you're seeing things which you've never seen before, and that's not particularly comfortable always, right? It is very scary at first. So cannabis has definitely helped me kind of ground myself. It's like you're undergoing the spiritual awakening, everything is different, you're going through big changes, you're waking up to a lot of things, you're unlocking powers which you've never had before, and it can feel too much. It can feel like it's too much at times. And then, and then you're back to earth. You're back to planet Earth. You're grounded again. You're connected to nature. You're connected to the ground. It grows from the ground after all. So it would make sense why, when you're flying too far out into the cosmos, into this, spiritual dimension, smoking would definitely ground you. It would turn you, it would take you back to planet Earth, take you back to where you're comfortable, right? And I believe that without cannabis, this awakening process would be so much more painful. It would be so much more um, difficult to manage, difficult to handle, right? There's many things that happen on your spiritual journey. People start treating you differently. You view the world differently. You view people differently. You view yourself differently. You undergo a complete personality change. There's many things that happen. Obviously, it's different for everybody. I'm speaking from my personal experience. There's many, many things that happen, and it can feel too overwhelming at times. And I would have lost my mind without cannabis. I would have lost my mind. I would not be able to handle the awakening. I would not be able to handle the downloads of information that I get from the cosmos. I would not be able to manage all the new knowledge that I'm acquiring. I would not be able to manage the frequency on which I now operate, right? Without the use of cannabis to ground me and kind of, calm me down, bring me back to earth. You get what I'm saying? So there's no such thing as after spiritual awakening, because it's an ever-going process. There's no start, there's no finish. You get what I'm saying? It's an ongoing process. The entire human existence is a spiritual existence. So there's no beginning, middle, end. You can't really call it that. I'm only doing it this way, so it can make some sense. I'm only doing this so it can make sense. But what we can say after your awakening, after you've unlocked, certain spiritual powers, after you've gained this kind of deeper connection with the cosmos, let's call it that, right? After you've, connected with the cosmos, you gain that deeper understanding of reality, deeper understanding of yourself, what it means to be, a human being, what this existence is all about, what the world is all about, how it operates, just behind the scenes, things that are beyond the matrix, right? After this process, does cannabis still give you benefit? From my experience now, it does not give me any benefits anymore. It does not give me any benefits anymore. On your spiritual journey, something you might learn is that all power comes from within. Everything in the universe is within you. It's like the entire cosmos is within your mind, right? And I'm pretty sure it says it in the Bible that the kingdom of heaven is within you. And many religions or cultures or ancient texts hint to the fact that you do not have to rely on anything external, anything that's outside yourself to get a certain benefit. Everything you're looking for, everything you desire, everything you want to access, all the knowledge is already kind of here. You just need to go within. You need to go deeper within to kind of get access to that. That's done through, I don't know, sports, meditation, certain spiritual practices. You see, wait. Right here, you see I have like a sound thingy, like a boing. Yeah. But yeah, meditation, exercise, certain diet, certain activities, certain ways of thinking, certain ways of interacting with other people definitely have an effect on your spirituality. And where was I? Oh yeah, it doesn't come from within, right? So I used to believe that, cannabis makes me more creative, this, that. And it did. It did open my third eye. But now I am in my sober state operating at a frequency which is higher than that which cannabis has to offer me. Cannabis was a teacher on my journey. I'm very sure that this is not the last time that I interact with this teacher, because I will forever be grateful towards this plant, because as I mentioned in the start, I would not be where I am without this plant, right? So I'm very grateful for this plant. It has taught me a lot. It has taught me a lot about life, myself, everything, right? So I can't really hate on it. I cannot hate on it, and I will never judge somebody for partaking in this activity. Um, I try to be less judgmental in general towards myself and others as I get older. It's a progress. It's something you constantly have to work on, like everything else. But now I'm at a point where I feel like in my sober state, I am much more creative. I'm much more connected to the universe. I'm much more connected with myself, my emotions, other people, stuff like that, than I am when I am under the influence of anything, right? Because, as I said, everything comes from within. All the power is within yourself. So, um, when I'm if I smoke now, what ends up happening is there is something in my system which is interfering with the process of my it's interfering with my chakra system, right? It's interfering with my energy centers, with my frequencies. And anything that kind of interferes will have certain, benefits and drawbacks. But what I find now is that I get way less benefits than I used to, and it sort of blocks my creativity. It just makes me, now it doesn't do the same things as it used to. Now it just makes me kind of like zone out and, sit on the couch and scroll, I don't know, Instagram or YouTube shorts and eat like 100 times more chocolate than the sober me would have ever consumed, right? And also, when you're under the influence of something, you're not operating on your sober state. So you might make decisions that would not align with what your sober, authentic self would have chosen to do, right? And I now much prefer to be sort of sober. Life feels at a certain point, right? Once you raise your vibration, raise your kundalini, whatever you may call it, through different practices that I'm not going to talk about in this video, but you get this natural high, you get this natural connection with the cosmos, you get this natural, everything is trippy, existence itself is trippy, everything is druggy like. And I now feel more on drugs than I ever did when I was, smoking weed, for example. Um, so if I can access it, if I now have the knowledge and the power to access a certain state in a sober way, why would I want to rely on something external, something outside myself to give me that thing? Also, what really annoyed me at some point is that, yeah, it's something external. You have to go find it, you have to go meet somebody to get it. It's a whole process. And if you're able to genuinely like access certain altered states of consciousness through breath work, through exercise, through meditation, through, I don't know, connecting with others, through other spiritual practices, why would you desire to get the same thing from anything external when it's all within yourself? When you don't need anybody or anything to get access to those powers? That's where I'm at right now. That is where I'm at right now with my Zaza consumption, my friends. Um, I think that's enough for this video. So yeah, it's definitely something you need to discover for yourself. It's something you need to know for yourself. When, and you need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. I've never, it's always a good idea to, even if you do it daily, it's always a good idea to take breaks, take tolerance breaks, get back to your sober state, whatever, whatever. But I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I genuinely don't know what I'm saying anymore. Um, yeah, you have to be honest with yourself. And you're not going to be able to be honest with yourself in regard to your cannabis consumption if you're always under the influence of cannabis. Because what cannabis tends to do is cause, right, it over exaggerates everything. And when you're high, when you're under the influence of cannabis, you may perceive things differently, and everything is just so much more amazing, right? Everything is so much more deep. So you may then get sober and be like, wow, I'm much more creative when I'm stoned, or I'm much more this, I'm much more that when I'm stoned. But that's never going to be reality, because all the power is within yourself. There is nothing external of yourself which is going to give you powers which you are not able to access within, right? The answers you are seeking are not right there or in this person or under this rock or maybe under my laptop, right? It's all within. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. So if you can truly master your mind, master your emotions and be more in tune with your authentic self, you will not even desire to indulge in, anything outside yourself, anything that can interfere with your spiritual growth and that can hinder your spiritual growth. And yeah, I completely understand that when you're undergoing the spiritual awakening, it can feel as if you're going crazy, it can feel as if you're tripping out. You're actually just waking up to what reality actually is. And it's not comfortable. It's not always comfortable. It's not surrounded by a bunch of pillows. Sometimes it's way too intense. And then, obviously, cannabis can bring you down to planet Earth. It can ground you and give you a sort of comfort, right? But I'm at a stage now where it just doesn't do the same thing for me as it used to. So I tend to do I tend to be happier when I'm sober now. I tend to be more creative. I tend to be more productive. I achieve success in all realms quicker. I get more work done. I have more time to connect with the people I want to connect with my interests, connect with myself, connect with nature. But when you're under the influence of cannabis, you may think it may give you the perception that you're doing all the same things, but in reality, all the power which you're ever gonna have is already within you, my friends. I think I did enough yapping, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't take this as some sort of advice. I hope you found this interesting to watch. You can apply this to your own experience, to your own journey, see whether it resonates or not. And yes, thank you very much. Goodbye.